What's up everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name is MrHurriicane and today we're talking some more Madden 18 news. This video is going to focus on MUT Squads, which is a feature in Madden 18 we've known about now for a couple weeks. They've been talking about it and there was a post up on Operation Sports. Now there is a blog post on the EA Sports website and that's what I'm going to be talking about today. We are getting some bits and pieces of information from guys like Rex Dixon and Clint Oldenburg on Twitter. And when it comes to things like IDing the mic, which is now in the game and will surely help out with blitz pickups, along with things like off-ball injuries. I'm waiting for more details on that before I start talking about it to give my thoughts. So I'll focus on the MUT Squads today, along with one thing from Rex Dixon, wide receiver DB mechanics, which will tie into this and be a very cool addition for the game as a whole, but especially this MUT Squad feature. So for those of you that played Madden a handful of years ago, I know that online team play was introduced in Madden 11, and I messed around with it a little bit when it was new. My friends and I would play some games, and it was pretty much a chaotic mess. Eventually, it was taken out of the game, and many were asking for it to return. And it's come back in the form of MUT Squads. So now it's a mode tied to Ultimate Team, which I don't think is a big problem. And you can let me know in the comment section if you still play this way, but the online experience of Madden has changed. It's a lot more focused on Ultimate Team and Draft Champions with multiple ways to play. You can go with a salary cap approach. You can just build whatever team you can and play against people online. There's Draft Champions, ensuring that your team is always going to have a weakness in some area, but you strategize on how you build your strengths. And we're seeing that in the competitive side of Madden, that's now focused on Ultimate Team. It's no longer someone with the Patriots against someone with the Packers. So not as many people these days seem to be playing the online traditionally, where it was just take a team, go online. I used to do it a lot. I have a ton of streams on my channel of me playing that way. But now this is something that is going to be Ultimate Team specific. We're seeing with games like Madden and 2K how they're focusing more on the esports side of things and increasing that competitive landscape. So why don't we jump into the actual information here. Article is linked down below in the description. MUT Squads is a 3v3 way to play Madden. You can invite your friends and team up that way or join matchmaking, which sounds pretty chaotic. I would recommend playing with some friends so you can have communication and everybody plays their role correctly, especially if you're into winning. That's kind of fun. And I say here, if you just have one friend that you can play with, you can both team up and then find an additional player to fill in that missing spot. So the three roles on each team are the offensive captain, the defensive captain, and the head coach. Each has a certain role within the game, but there's also the roster construction component of this, which I think is a little weird when I first heard about it, but it does make sense, especially for that person to really own that role. So when you are the offensive captain, that is going to bring in all the players from offense and special teams for that user's MUT lineup. So if you team up with somebody, it's your offense, your friend's defense. Hopefully he actually upgraded his team. You don't got to carry the whole thing with your offense and play it like you're the Indianapolis Colts, but hopefully you communicated about that prior to joining up. So the offensive captain takes their offensive lineup, brings in their offensive playbook, and calls all the offensive plays. When on offense, the offensive captain controls the quarterback at the start of every play. However, they are not player locked to the quarterback post snap. If you call a run play and neither of the two human control players are on the halfback, the player controlling the quarterback will immediately switch and become the ball carrier. So the CPU won't be handling all the running for you, obviously. The offensive captain controls all the audibles and the adjustments on offense. When on defense, the user can control any of the 11 players not controlled by another user. There is no locking into only linebackers, defensive line, or secondary, which I believe was part of online team play back then. So someone was playing at all three levels, and someone was probably messing it up for you. I like this kind of free-for-all approach a lot more, and it introduces a lot more strategy, especially maybe you want to play cornerback against the top receiver and have some safety help over the top, or you want someone playing defensive tackle to collapse the inside of the pocket while someone else plays as an edge rusher, but I know people don't like playing defensive line. So let's go on to defensive captain now, and this player will have all their defensive players from their MUT lineup, their defensive playbook, call all the defensive plays, and control any of the 11 players on the field. So a lot like the offense. There's no locking into anything, controls all the audibles and adjustments on defense, and when on offense, they can control anyone besides the quarterback at the start of any given play. So the offensive captain and the defensive captain each have a really important role. They call all the plays, make all the adjustments, and they're the ones who determine the players that are actually on that side of the football. There's still a third member, the head coach. And this person brings in their head coach, stadium, and uniforms for that MUT lineup. So I'm assuming, head coach will at least impact ratings in some way. They will call timeouts and determine the results of penalties. When on offense, the player can control anyone but the quarterback, and on defense, they can control anybody. The head coach does have a lot less responsibility, and as mentioned here in the article, it is a perfect role for someone maybe a little less familiar with Ultimate Team or doesn't want to have all the control over play calling. A few more details in here. Each game will start off 3v3. In the event that a player must leave early before the session is completed, the game will continue on, and the role of the player who left will be transferred to someone else still left in the game. For example, if your offensive captain leaves early, the play call and QB responsibilities will move to the head coach. So they're kind of open if someone drops out. And everything else stays exactly the same, and the game is still able to be played to completion. It doesn't mention in here exactly, but I wonder what happens if the head coach leaves, who then calls the timeouts and whatnot. I would assume the offense, because they gotta worry more about clock management, but maybe both. That'd be chaotic. So that basically covers all the information here from the blog post. Online team play is back in the form of MUT Squads. Now, what do I think about it? I like that this mode is back in a way that I think people will pay more attention to it. I do wonder the numbers on how many actually played online team play back when it was in the game. And I think giving it a more competitive focus will keep players trying to get better and find the perfect teams and maybe get some tournaments going and whatnot. I'm not sure what their plans are as far as esports go with this, but I see the potential there. And I like, football is this great team sport, 22 players on the field. Yet we're used to playing it in a way where we control everything basically, and there is no teamwork element there. So I like that there's going to be a way where you can have a couple of your friends and you all communicate, and it kind of offers some deeper strategy beyond what's normally in the game, especially when you're talking on defense. I mean, it's great that we have things like the zone coverage techniques that were introduced last year, so certain route concepts are easier to cover because linebackers can read a play and then cover the right receiver, or a cornerback can do the same. But in the case of online team play, you can be like, okay, in this situation, depending on what the receiver does, either you're going to stay with them or I will and watch this part of the field. And I think that's just going to be so awesome to see those that can grind together in the game and they get better at communicating and strategizing, what that does for the competitive side of this. And as someone who enjoys watching competitive gaming, I hope this does live up to the potential and there are some teams that get really good at this. On the offensive side, you can do a lot more with option routes as long as you are communicating. If we see cover 2, you're going to run this route. If you read cover 3, we're going to do this. So I really want to see this reach its potential with some good teams, and I hope that the competitive side of things does get pretty big for this. One of the things that I think brought down online team play and the experience as a corner and receiver in general is the fact that the controls aren't complete. And that's something I'm very excited about now with Madden 18, as this picture from Rex Dixon shows some advanced wide receiver DB mechanics here. A lot of controls for cutting, press coverage, and I want to see how this plays out in the game, because it looks like it's going to be more than just running in the right spot and following the receiver and being close to him. It's actually going to be interactive, and there are a lot of controls here that we're going to have to learn if we are to play wide receiver or defensive back in team play or MUT Squads. Route running in here with these controls could become a very new part of the game that we haven't really had to worry about as much. So I'm also very excited about this. And Rex did mention in a follow-up tweet replying to somebody that this is for all modes. So now, if you want to do a player-based career, say as a wide receiver or a cornerback, two positions that should be a lot more fun than they have been, now have a lot deeper control. And I'm hoping that this makes playing as a wide receiver or a cornerback a lot more authentic, and you actually have to use skills that those positions require, and not just kind of run around and find the opening or whatever. Actually play the techniques, play the receivers. I hope that this leads to a fun way to play those positions, because I don't think those positions were any fun in the past. Again, this is one of those things I want to see in a bit more detail, but the controls are here, and it is very relevant to MUT Squads, so I at least wanted to talk about it, but I'll wait for more depth in all these areas until I dive in any more about the features. And I'm sure there will be more blog posts up sometime soon. This is the time of year where we get all the information, and I'm waiting to see what is up with Franchise this year, because that is my main mode to play. As far as MUT Squads go, I honestly don't think I'll play it very much. I'd like to try it, but I'm more so looking to just become a fan watching good MUT Squads do their thing out there. I'm sure when it comes to YouTube and streaming that there will be an audience for this and content creators that do a really good job with it. So I'm excited to see what it's all about and what it becomes. The other smaller piece of information that we have gotten, which is still a big deal for a lot of us, including me, is that coaching adjustments are now in the game. I'm not sure what all of them are or what all the toggled options are, but I like that cornerback matchups are in here, and you shouldn't be able to just hide your top receiver in the slots. And I'm hoping the CPU takes advantage of this, because you want them to play authentically as well. I like the coaching adjustments feature in the NCAA football game, so I'm glad that we have that now and should have a bit more control over a few areas on the team. I still want to see a lot more about these off-ball injuries and how that's going to impact the game. Injuries are a huge part of football, and it really shows how important it is to have good depth, how to have players you've been developing on your practice squad, because you never know when one of those players will have to step up in the place of an injury. I could go on for a while about what I want to see in the game from injuries, and maybe I will at some point, because I think injuries should be a big part of Franchise especially. Not overdone, of course, with all the star players getting hurt and whatnot and simming. That has to get balanced. But as far as just the individual games go as a user, like, I have a lot of thoughts about injuries and why they are important and why they add to the experience. But I'll go into that another time. As we get some more news about the game, I'll be talking about it here on the channel, so subscribe if you haven't done so already. I do a lot of Madden content over here. Check out my Madden 17 Chargers franchise, and you'll get a taste of what I'll be doing on Madden 18 when that drops with a different team. But I'm very excited to see what else is on the way for Madden 18. Please leave a like if you enjoyed the video. Leave your thoughts on MUT Squads down below in the comment section. Do you want to play this? Are you a fan of this? Or are you not? I'll make a poll on this video, and I should have probably announced it earlier in the video, but I didn't think of it until now. So you can vote in the poll upper right hand portion of the video player and let me know there, also in the comments. But that's going to do it for this video. Thank you all for watching and supporting my channel. I'll see you next time. Have a great day.